Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 and 2, saying that finances are not a forget. Hey there. Welcome to the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. I am Dr. Lexi Johnson, and this is where heaven's economy collides with earth's assignments. I'm a financial strategist, kingdom disruptor, and your accountability coach in obedience and beyond. Around here, we don't beg God for money. We align, we obey, we produce, we multiply, we dominate. And so if you are ready to steward well, think boldly, and dominate with faith, then let's dive in. I hope you guys have been having a great week. And it's been a pretty cool week for me too. In fact, for where I live, the weather has actually been pretty good this week, which is shocking because where I live, typically the weather is not so good right now. So we're going to enjoy it. We know our time for all the snow and all the things are coming, but we're going to enjoy what so far. YouTube, like, subscribe, all the things there. Today, we're tackling a topic that most believers tiptoe around, and that is bankruptcy. Some think it's a sin, some think it's a failure, some use it as a crutch, and many never really talk about it, right, because of the shame. But here's the truth. Many believers miss this fact right here. The fact that bankruptcy is a tool. Okay, it is not a moral judgment unless, and we'll get to that unless later. But if used properly, it can be part of a kingdom strategy for restoring solvency and not just escaping debt, right? Because that's not what we're promoting here, because the Bible is very clear that, we shouldn't owe any man anything, right? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how bankruptcy filings are trending right now. We're going to talk about the myths and the stigma around it. We're going to talk about the difference between righteous reset and irresponsible repeat filings. We're going to talk about how you, as a kingdom steward, can use bankruptcy responsibly with a post-bankruptcy plan that launches you forward and not backward. Okay? But before we get into that, let's do our stewardship check-in for the week. And for those of you who are new to this podcast, this is the part where I just ask you guys some questions. They are pretty much rhetorical, but we do have some people who are brave enough to answer these questions in the comments. And that's always good because there may be others who are listening, who are watching, who need to see your response. Your response may help somebody today, right? So let's do our stewardship check-in. Have you ever thought, I could never file bankruptcy because that would be a sin? Or have you seen people file bankruptcy over and over and over, and you thought they were reckless? Have you wrestled with guilt, shame, fear, or confusion around this topic? All right. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, well, good, because that honesty is the first step to kingdom clarity. Stewardship isn't just about winning when the numbers are good. It's about responding wisely when the numbers aren't. So we are going to dive straight into this episode. We're going to talk about bankruptcy and put it into perspective. And we're going to do this just after a word from our sponsor. right. If you do not yet have your copy of Stop Begging God for Money, I don't know what you're waiting on. Okay. I released the book back in April. And many people who have read it are experiencing transformation, okay? First in the mind, and then they're starting to see that transform their behavior and their relationship with money. And I want that for you too, right? Especially if Yah has been tapping you or nudging you, or maybe even pushing you about getting your finances together in this season, then Stop Begging God for Money is definitely one of the books that you want to have in your arsenal. Okay. It is not a book that is just all fluff and motivation and inspiration and all of that. No, it is a book that is going to um, help you transform your behavior, right? It is a book that is going to help you to reflect on what you're actually doing with your money. Then it's going to give you the kingdom principles um, to help you change the way you think about money. And when you change the way you think about money, then of course, how you behave with money, that is going to happen, right? So make sure you grab your copy, authorlexijohnson.com, or anywhere online where books are sold. Okay. All right. So let's get into our topic for today. We're talking about bankruptcy today, and the bankruptcy and the kingdom citizen. So let's put bankruptcy in perspective. Okay. Bankruptcy is not inherently a sin. Okay. I know that and I've been under this pressure as well, coming up where you get in debt. And I'm not saying you did it maliciously. Things happen, right? Um, there are mergers and acquisitions and divorces and all of the things, right, that can drive someone to consider bankruptcy, medical emergencies, all kinds of things that can that can have someone considering this option, right? And sometimes in the religious world, um, if you are considering that option, some will be bold enough to say that it is a sin, right? And others will, put pressure on you, like, well, we're supposed to pay off our debt and all that. And yes, we are, right? But there's also a forgiveness in the Bible, which is called Jubilee. We won't talk about that now today. I don't even think I'm going to go into it in depth. So there is space for it, right? But there is a way to use that tool responsibly. So inherently, it is not a sin. It's a legal framework for resetting and reorganizing financial obligations. It's a tool, okay? It is neutral in and of itself, but how you use it determines the spiritual impact. And we're going to talk more about that, okay? Right now, let's look at the data showing what's happening right now. So, the data is showing that bankruptcy filings are increasing. This is the reason why I'm talking about this today. Okay. I have felt in my heart that this was the case, but I needed to, look at the data and make sure. And the reason why I felt in my heart that this was the case is because I am seeing more clients right now who are considering this option. Okay. And there are a couple that I advised that they should take this option. Okay. But it is after we have fully weighed everything. And anyway, I don't want to get into all of that. I want to talk to you about the data. So, recent US courts data shows total bankruptcy filings, both personal and business, have climbed about 10.6% in the last 12-month period ending September 30, 2025. So, that means from September 30, 2024 to September 30, 2025, the bankruptcy filings have increased 10.6%, okay, over the previous year. There were over half a million, in fact, closer to 600,000 total filings, okay, which is up from 504,000 the year before. So other reports show consistent year over year increase in filings, with individual Chapter 7 bankruptcies up in 2025. Okay. and they are up overall for the total filings, just whether it's 7, 11, 13, whatever the case may be, they're up overall. And they have been steadily increasing over the past couple of years. So this upward trend reflects economic pressures on consumers and businesses, but not moral failure. Okay. So I know that we have people out there who are reporting, oh, the economy is doing A plus, 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 right? But some of the data is showing otherwise. Um, Also notable, as I mentioned, are the corporate bankruptcies. Okay. So large companies have also been filing, or they have been restructuring um, in numbers that haven't been seen consistently since the last real downturn that we've had in the economy. So that means that the economy is straining under debt, cost pressures, interest rate environments that make solvency harder to sustain, even for institutions. In fact, I was talking with my mother yesterday, and we were just talking about how the cost of just everyday stuff is going up and up and up. Rent, we already know that's through the roof. All kinds of things. I mean, even your Uber rides and Lyft rides are expensive. Okay. For me to ride to my office and back is $80. It's ridiculous, right? So this isn't just personal finance drama. This is a systemic condition. So let's talk about the myths, okay, and the realities. The myths and the realities. Listen, if you're here, let me know you're here. I always love to acknowledge those who are watching. And don't forget to invite somebody, okay? Don't keep all of this goodness to yourself. All right. So, myth number one, especially if you know someone who is considering bankruptcy at this point in time, okay? All right. So, myth number one, bankruptcy is sinful. I've already talked about this a couple times, but I'm going to hit it one more time. Believers treat bankruptcy like a spiritual failure or a moral flaw, right? There is this weight that comes particularly with those in the religious sector. But scripture never equates financial reset with spiritual failure. Okay. Again, if you go and you read about Jubilee in the Bible, it wasn't necessarily about moral failure. Okay. What about that at all? The Bible shows that God using resets, okay, even in Israel's cycles of exile and return, he uses these resets to bring people back to stewardship and dependence on him. If you have over this last year or at any time, you have filed bankruptcy or you're highly considering bankruptcy and you are a kingdom citizen, then what you need to know is that this is a tool that is at your fingertips, um, but you use it responsibly, right? Your goal should be, I don't want to be here again. I want to become a better steward. So I'm going to get this clean slate so that I can become a better steward, right? And you're not just saying this in, mouth only, like you're actually doing something about it. Like signing up for my Financial Rebellion 90-day coaching experience, okay, which starts in March of 2026, but you can enroll right now, super early bird price for $249. And you might say, I don't know, it's not till March, I'll wait. Everybody who has already enrolled, they have work to do. The transformation has already begun. Okay. And so if you decide you're going to wait till March, you'll be late and you're going to be rushing and you're going to be, well, maybe you won't be rushing, but you might find yourself a little behind in the discussions. Okay. Because they've had a head start. So don't wait. You want to do that today. You can do that. I have it in the description. Okay. Not in the chat. That link is wrong. That automatic thing that comes up. I got to fix that. But in the description, I have the link there, bit.ly um, / join the rebellion 2026. Okay, secure your slot. All right. So, myth number two, we're talking about the myths and the realities of bankruptcy. Myth number two, if I file, I will never recover. Okay. So, there was a time where you could file bankruptcy and yeah, it would it would prevent you from doing things for a very long time. But that is not the case these days. Okay. You can bounce back pretty quickly from bankruptcy. Now, yes, it will still be on your credit report for 10 years or 13 years or whatever, depending upon which, what you filed. It may still be on your credit report. But now, like if you're trying to find an apartment, you can be like 6 months to a year out from bankruptcy and find an apartment. If you want to purchase a home, you could be from 2 to 4 years out. It depends on the type of loan that you're going to get, FHA, USDA, whatever type of loan, it depends. Okay. So it doesn't keep you stuck as long like it did last time, right? In fact, your credit score could rebound also within 6 months, 6 to 12 months. Okay. So some, though, misuse bankruptcy like a crutch, right? They file it repeatedly without a plan. And so I have met people, individuals who have done that. I have heard of businesses who do that, right? Or they file it just to get out of, some type of particular responsibility. So they're using it like a crutch. Okay. Sorry about that. I guess we're some internet interruptions. So anyway, I was saying that that's not stewardship, right? To file over and over and over and over again, and you're just, using it willy-nilly just to avoid. That is not what we're that's not how bankruptcy should be used. All right, myth number 3. Only the irresponsible file bankruptcy. And that is not true. Everyone you see on a bankruptcy docket has a story: layoffs, medical debt, unexpected emergencies, divorce, business failures, economic currents that they did not cause. So there is a whole lot that can go into someone's decision for filing bankruptcy. So because someone files doesn't mean that they are just irresponsible. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that there are some out there who were irresponsible, but I'm saying, because that happens, of course, but there are a lot of people out there who aren't that irresponsible. They just don't know how to steward well. And they did the best they could, but life is lifing. Okay. Filings are rising even when the intent um, isn't reckless and it's reactive. All right. So let's talk about this bankruptcy as a tool, okay, and not a trap. Bankruptcy is like medicine, I guess, right? If you use it too often, or if you use it wrongly, or without follow up or strategy, it's going to harm you. Okay. But when you use it responsibly, it can actually reset your financial life. It can remove crippling debt and create space for kingdom purpose. And I say crippling because, you know, it may not necessarily be physically crippling, but it can be mentally and emotionally crippling. Okay. So a kingdom steward sees bankruptcy not as a sin, not as a shame marker, not as a free pass to irresponsibility, but they see it as a legal reset when all other options fail. Okay. So there are a lot of things to do out there. You can put a debt strategy, a debt elimination strategy in place. They have debt consolidation companies. There's, various things that you can do. And it's always good to make sure you analyze which is the best situation for you. Just because a friend tells you, oh, you should do this because I did it, doesn't mean that that's the best situation for you. Okay. One of the things that I have done for my clients here lately, particularly in the last 6 months, is doing what I call a best path forward analysis, where I am looking at all of their numbers and I am saying, okay, which road is best? Is it um, the debt consolidation? Is it the debt relief? Is it the bankruptcy? Is it a customized debt elimination plan? Right. So we look at the numbers. I look at the numbers. Okay. I look at their numbers and then I make a recommendation based on what that data is telling me, and not just the data, but also where the person is mentally, right? Emotionally, physically, all the things, right? So, um, again, bankruptcy is a legal reset when all your other options fail, and only when accompanied by a plan to walk insolvency. And this is the part where most people fail because they feel like, oh, I've filed the bankruptcy. It's all done, especially if it's a seven, because it wipes out everything, right? But even if it's a 13 and you finished up your payment plan, most people are like, okay, great, done with that, right? Everything is wiped clean. The slate is wiped clean. I can start over, but they don't have a plan. And so many times what ends up happening is a few years down the road, a person will find themselves having to file again because they did not have a plan to walk insolvency. Okay. So you should have, if you are going to do bankruptcy, you should have a post bankruptcy solvency plan. Okay. Um, so let's talk a little bit about how to steward like a kingdom citizen in this situation. Number one, you're going to acknowledge the reality without shame. Okay. Because again, for kingdom citizens, oftentimes there is a lot of shame that comes with that. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of times that shame is something that we put on ourselves. Okay. But we're going to acknowledge the reality without shame. This is where I'm at. These are the things that have gotten me here, because in most cases it's not just you going out there. You didn't say, at the beginning of when you were establishing your credit or whatever the case may be, or purchasing the home and all of that, you didn't say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to file bankruptcy in a couple years, you know, although there are some people out there that do that. Okay. But for the most part, um, that's not what people are doing. I hope the video is okay. I'm hoping it's not glitching too much. So anyway, um acknowledge that reality without shame. Okay. Shame is where the enemy wants to keep you, which will keep you from moving forward, which will keep you from, getting to a place of peace. Number two, you're going to stop repeating the same cycle. So don't file again out of habit or resignation or, whatever. See, bankruptcy without strategy means you're going to repeat it. Okay. Number three, build solvency first. Build solvency first. So after discharge, okay, your number one assignment is stability. In fact, I often, encourage my clients to make sure that they are getting some kind of um, coaching, counseling, financial coaching or counseling. And I am not talking about the ones the bankruptcy company will give you, by law, they have to have you watch certain videos, but those things, they're cool, but it's not going to help you in terms of solvency, right? I'm talking about, a course or a financial coach or strategist or someone that is going to help you put that solvency plan together. Okay. They're going to help you pay, what you can, build a cushion, establish systems that don't put you back in danger. Okay. That's what it's all about. Most people, again, are not malicious in their intent for filing bankruptcy. They just don't have the systems in place to prevent themselves from getting there. Okay. Number four, you're going to establish accountability. So, once again, you're getting a financial mentor, a coach, some type of community around you. Okay. Do not build alone. Okay. In any area of our lives, we rarely build alone. Yet in finance, there's one of the areas where we will be like, oh, I'm just going to do this over here all quiet to myself. No. Okay. Get someone to assist you with that. Number five, you're going to learn stewardship disciplines, budgeting, cash first living, multiple streams, investing, and wise giving, right? These are all spiritual habits. They are not worldly tricks. Here we go. And then I don't know what's going on with the internet today, but part of winning post bankruptcy is not just piling assets, it is developing wisdom. True wealth is generational. Okay. It is not transactional, never is. All right. So if you want a kingdom centered roadmap that helps you get out of debt, stay out of debt, and build a life where you don't have to go back to bankruptcy. And most people think, oh, I'll never have to be here again. But I'm telling you, if you don't have systems in place, you're going to be there again. Okay. If this is what you desire, um, to get out of debt, stay out of debt, build that life, um, with that where your solvency is established and you're building legacy, then my financial rebellion 90-day coaching experience is for you. Okay. The doors are open now. And in this season of economic stress, we've made it accessible so that no one has an excuse not to get the help they need. Okay. So did I say 297 earlier? It's 249. I can't remember what I said earlier, but I've been stuck on this 297 number. And that's not the case. It's 249. Okay. So the link is in the description bit.ly/join the rebellion 2026. Don't just exit bankruptcy. You want to exit with a plan that launches you into solvency, that launches you into strategic stewardship, that launches you into legacy. Okay. Producing, multiplying, dominating. That's what we're all about. Okay. So I hope that this episode has helped you to have a healthier view of bankruptcy, right? It's not sin, but it can be misused. So you don't want to be on the extremes, right? You want to be right here, perspective about what it is. Yes, it can give you the clean slate, but you need to make sure that when you file it, that you also have a post bankruptcy solvency plan in place. Okay. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Everywhere else, if you share this video out, because I'm telling you, you might think, oh, I don't know people around me that are filing bankruptcy. You don't know, okay? Because people are still, not comfortable talking about these things. It's still not really that, it's just starting to become, part of regular conversation. Um, but there are many, particularly in my generation, won't be talking about it. Okay. So share this out so that someone on your timeline who has been considering this can have some informed, um, can be informed and make the best decision for them. All right. Well, that's it for the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. We'll see you next time. Until then, produce, multiply, and dominate. God bless.